We're so used to instant taps and transfers that we rarely even think about how it all works, right? But what happens when a payment isn't immediate? When you need to guarantee that money will actually change hands tomorrow or maybe next month. Well, today we're going to look at these surprisingly elegant, paper-based tools that have formalized financial promises for centuries.
I mean, really think about it. If you're selling goods on credit, or maybe lending a friend some money, how do you go beyond just a simple handshake? How do you create something that's legally binding, something that proves a commitment to pay? This is the exact problem that these incredible financial instruments were built to solve.
So let's start with the most straightforward concept there is, a direct promise between two people written down on a piece of paper. It's really the foundation for so much in the world of finance.
In that simple promise, well, it has a formal name, the promissory note. The best way to think of it is like a supercharged IOU. It's not a request, it's not a suggestion, it is a clear, unconditional promise from a maker to a payee. At its heart, it's a simple two-party agreement.
And just look at this example. It shows you how simple it can be. Mr. Y writes, "On demand, I promise to pay Mr. X the sum of rupees 50,000 only." See? There's no wiggle room there. It's crystal clear. One person makes the promise, the other one is the payee. That's it.
So what makes this piece of paper so powerful? Why isn't it just a casual note? Well, it all comes down to these essential rules. First, it has to be in writing. A verbal promise just won't cut it legally. The promise has to be unconditional. You can't say, "I'll pay you if my team wins the championship." No, it has to be certain. It's got to be for a specific amount of money, signed by the person making the promise, and both people have to be clearly identified. These are the rules that turn a simple IOU into a legally enforceable instrument.
Okay, so a promise is perfect for a two-party deal. But what if you need to bring a third party into the mix? Like, say, a bank, to handle the actual payment? Well, that needs a completely different kind of tool. It's not a promise anymore. Now it's an order. Let's check that out.
And this is a bill of exchange. Now notice that huge change in the language. We went from "I promise to pay" to "I am ordering someone else to pay." It's still a written, unconditional instruction for a specific amount of money, but the whole game has changed because now you're directing a third party to do the paying. So this means we now have three key players in the game. You've got the drawer, that's the person writing the order. Let's call them the buyer. Then you have the drawee, that's who's being ordered to pay, usually a bank. And finally, the payee, the person who actually gets the money, the seller. So the drawer tells the drawee to pay the payee. It's like a little financial triangle.
Okay, let's put these two side by side. This is where you can really see the fundamental difference. One is a promise you make yourself, and the other is an order you give to someone else. And this table just lays it all out perfectly. A promissory note is a promise. It's got two parties. The person who makes it, the maker, has absolute liability. They are on the hook, period. But a bill of exchange is an order with three parties. The person who writes the order, the drawer, their liability is only conditional. They're more like a backup, a guarantee. They're only responsible if the drawee, the bank, fails to pay up. Big difference.
Now, you might be thinking this all sounds a bit, abstract, a little old-fashioned, but I can pretty much guarantee you have seen a bill of exchange before. In fact, you've probably had one right in your wallet.
That's right. The humble check is just a very specific, very common type of bill of exchange. It follows all the same rules we've just been talking about. And this is one of those great aha moments where you see how this financial history connects directly to our everyday lives. So here's the formal definition. A check has two special features that make it unique. First, the drawee, the one being ordered to pay, is always a bank. And second, it's always payable on demand. That means there's no waiting period, you can cash it right away. So when you write a check, you are the drawer, your bank is the drawee, and the person you're paying is the payee. Simple as that. So now we know what a check is. Let's dig into one of its most important and honestly most misunderstood security features. This is where the real-world smarts come in. You've definitely seen them, right? Those two little parallel lines, usually drawn across the top corner. They might look like nothing, but they are a very powerful instruction to the bank. This is called crossing a check. It's a really simple visual signal that completely changes how that money can be accessed. Think of it as a built-in layer of security that protects everyone involved. So here's how it works. A general crossing, that's just two parallel lines, is an instruction that says, hey, you can't hand out cash for this check.
It has to be deposited into a bank account, which, of course, creates a clear paper trail. Now, a special crossing takes it a step further. If you write a bank's name between those lines, you're saying the check can only be paid into an account at that specific bank. It's a fantastically simple and effective way to fight fraud.
So after all this, the big question is, does any of it still matter? I mean, we live in an age of digital wallets and instant payments. Are things like promissory notes and bills of exchange just relics, things for a museum? And I'll leave you with this thought to chew on. The paper itself, yeah, it might be fading away. But the core principles, an unconditional promise, a verifiable order, a trusted third party, those are the absolute bedrock of modern finance. Every time you use a payment app, you're essentially sending a digital bill of exchange. You're ordering your bank to pay someone else. The instruments are changing, for sure, but the grammar of finance, that stays the same. Thanks for watching.